Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of AdvocaSAY. Tonight, we have a very exciting show where we're going to talk to two of our guests, Logan and Heidi. We're going to talk to them about Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to Madeline, my co-host, flying with me, helping me get through this
Thank
podcast.
you.
Thank you, Madeline, for joining me.
Thank
And
you.
again,
Glad to be here.
Heidi for joining. So, with that being said, we're going to go straight into our subject. Logan and Heidi, can you both tell us a little bit about yourself? Logan, we'll start with you since you're at the top of the screen. Heidi, we'll come down to you.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Hi, I'm 25. I used to be a pharmacy technician. I'm majoring in psychology and minoring in biology. And I started to make my own website related to EDS resources and everything for education, awareness, and advocacy, to try to put everything into one place to make it easier for everyone. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my general overview.
Okay.
All right, Heidi, give us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So, hi, I'm Heidi. Let's see. I'm really involved in the disability community and in the queer community. So, I think it's no surprise that advocacy is something that's really like close to my heart. You know, it's great to have this opportunity because I feel like Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome is an invisible disability, and because of that, because of the way that I present as fully able-bodied and normal, my issues are often taken less seriously. And so it's really like exciting to be able to spread awareness and kind of like show that even in a able-looking body, you never really know what's going on.
Okay. And I will say that, I met these two young ladies at an expo. And when I first met them, when they came over, I actually thought that they were with someone because they came over on like a scooter. And most of the times I've seen people in that on the scooter, it's because they have had like a foot surgery or something on one foot and they could not put the weight on that foot. So when they came over and they started telling me, I'm like, wow, I thought you guys had surgery. I thought you was here, accompanying somebody else, which led us into the conversation. And we met, I want to say it was sometime in July. And I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, I thought this was so exciting to hear about. What we're gonna say is EDS throughout the podcast. We're just gonna use the acronym EDS. So
Yep.
can you guys tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Logan, do you want to?
Sure. So EDS, like the general beginning of it, I guess, would be that it's a genetic connective tissue disorder, and connective tissue is all throughout your body. It's what everything is made up of, pretty much. So there's so many different things that can be affected by EDS. And there's so many different comorbidities that can come along with it as well. And that's something that adds to the disease burden and the complications of everything.
There's a saying.
There's only,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, the saying is, if you can't connect the issues, think connective tissues. It's a very good little catchy saying.
Okay.
But yeah, main the most common form of EDS is hypermobile EDS, which we both have. And then for the other 12 types, there are genetic tests available, but they haven't yet identified the gene for hypermobile or the genes for hypermobile EDS, even though there are some newer research coming out for finding those genes. Yeah.
And then I'll add that like one of the most common presentations of hypermobile EDS is like musculoskeletal issues. So like I've dislocated my shoulder and like tore my labrum up here, like dislocated my shoulder. Like I have chronic pain and am in PT regularly, like as a ongoing treatment because like my joints are hypermobile. There's so much excess motion. Stuff is grinded on stuff, and stuff is falling out of place and not supporting me properly. So one of the most common like things that everybody presents with EDS is that musculoskeletal pain and instability, joint instability, which although we can be very strong, I joke that all my points went into strength and none into stability, because I can like lift, crazy amounts of stuff, but then I can also do it just the wrong way and like dislocate something. So musculoskeletal like presentations are the most prevalent, I'd say, like with EDS. But then again, if you can't connect the issues, think connective tissues, because connective tissue is what connects everything in our body. Neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD and autism are more common. Gastroparesis and just general GI issues like IBS. We love to see it. But IBS, like gastroparesis, which is just where your like GI system is moving much slower, like gastro and paralyzed. It's gastroparesis is like one of the common GI issues. And then like Logan, help me out. What about your aortic valve?
So there's different, it can cause
like heart malformation.
Dilation of your heart valves, which can lead to needing replacements and things.
So
another common comorbidity is also dysautonomia. That's one of the most common ones, which can dysautonomia is sort of the umbrella term, but what most people get diagnosed with is POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. But that just really affects all your autonomic nervous system also. So EDS in general causes so many different systemic issues that all
like
compound on top of each other.
Yeah. Because there's connective tissue in every organ.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connective tissue disorder, it's free range for everything to be malformed.
Yeah, and as soon as one system gets out of whack, it sort of starts a snowball effect where the dysfunction sort of spreads throughout the different systems.
It can be very progressive in that way.
Yeah.
If one thing isn't working properly and it causes another thing to not work properly, and that causes another thing. Hello. And then, it can snowball. Yeah, like Logan said.
Okay. Question. When Logan or Heidi, when did you start having the symptoms, and how long did it take for the diagnosis?
So,
no tests.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll say for me, real quickly, that, when I was young, I used to complain about really bad growing pains that left me crying, and like, that Tylenol did nothing for, like, type of thing. And my mom had gone through the same thing. Keep in mind that Ehlers-Danlos is a genetic disorder. But my mom had gone through the same thing. And as is so common in genetic disorders, my parents thought it was normal because it had happened to them. And they didn't realize it was abnormal. So they didn't realize that they needed to seek treatment for it.
Right. Okay.
And so that can happen so much. You see so many families that have like unresolved health issues generationally. And yeah, it can often be because they just don't know it's not normal. And, you don't often talk about, you don't often talk openly enough about like your symptoms and health issues and stuff in our culture for you to realize that it's not normal.
Right.
So, and then I'll say like, but
sorry,
I got officially diagnosed in 2024. So the first time that I had considered that I might have EDS was in 2021, 2022. So it took me 2 years, and that is 2 or 3 years. And that's
wow.
Largely due to me having a board certified patient advocate who was on my side. And again, another reason why I'm so passionate about advocacy.
Right.
So, and like a lot of people, it takes much, much longer, or they just don't get a diagnosis. And that's something that we can get into. Diagnosis is such a large topic, and just how hard it is to get on.
That's what I was, yes.
Yeah, For me, similar to Heidi, I had a lot of different symptoms as a kid where, you know, I was always going to the nurse's office, something always hurt, my stomach, you know, just anything was wrong, where I was sort of written off as like a hypochondriac or just dramatic or whatever as a child. And that's a really common theme, it seems to be, with most EDS patients.
Because
And
if you have everything hurting, like, what are the chances of that? You know, like, people are like, oh, that's psychosomatic. Everywhere in your body hurts. Like, that's not real. It can't be anything, you know.
And then once most people start to develop symptoms, especially during puberty, because most of the time EDS shows up in women. And then estrogen plays a large part in the symptoms as well. And it can make a lot of the symptoms worse. So once puberty starts, the symptoms start to show much more prevalently. And then when I was about 14, I got mono, which is Epstein-Barr virus. And that is what caused my POTS. And then that's what led me to get diagnosed with MCAS and EDS later on. But it took a few years. For most people, honestly, I believe it's close to 10 years to get a diagnosis.
The average is insane.
Yeah, and then because there's so many different issues, and then there's no one doctor or specialty that really handles this completely, and we get tossed around to all these different specialists without really having much to show for it. Yeah, sorry, I'm forgetting a little bit.
No, that's okay.
Now, from a genetic standpoint, I hear naturally, I tell everybody my daughter has her genetic condition. And a lot of the times, the genetic conditions, the more common ones are Down syndrome. So when we talk about genetic conditions, I just want to educate people because most people don't know this. This is your chromosomes. You know, this is your chromosomes from your mother and your chromosomes from your father. So I want to say it's 13, or is it 13 from each? I want to say it's 13.
Yeah, 26 total.
Okay, yes. So it's 13 from your mother and it's 13 from your father. This is what makes up the chromosomes for that person. So if there's 14, if there's 12 and a half, if there's anything somewhat, it's going to be an abnormality. So with this, I'm glad you mentioned this about your parents. Is this something that either I heard Heidi say this, touch on it, but is this something that was generated from your parents?
So I have records going back of, like, when I say records, I mean word of mouth, you know, like how history is passed down in our family. I have, you know, like records going back of like joint issues, neurodivergence, queer history, and like unexplained random injuries that were like way worse than they should have been. So there is word of mouth history that in my family that it goes back. But I don't know for sure. I can't say for sure where, like how far back or whatnot, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it honestly might be on both sides. The thing with EDS, it is a dominant condition. It's not recessive. So if one of your parents has it, it's easier to pass down. And then especially if both your parents have it, which
and it is,
I kind of suspect.
Like it's definitely possible for both to have it because of the neurodivergence factor.
Yeah.
Even though the condition isn't like super common. It's classified as rare, but I mean, a lot of people believe that it's a lot more common, and I believe that it's a lot more common than it's classified to be, or it's said to be. Just it's rarely diagnosed, you know.
Yeah, because the diagnosis, it's said to be between 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 500.
Which is a pretty big difference.
Yeah. But it's more and more towards the smaller end of the scale, where it's less and less rare. The more that people have awareness to it, because that's one of the biggest issues, is that the doctors themselves are so unaware of these conditions, especially EDS, where we have to go into it as educated as we can be to try to get help from them. And then a lot of the times that it in and of itself can cause issues with the dynamics, where they don't really love educated patients.
Of course.
And you know, there's just a lot of issues.
Right. The ego
when it comes to having to advocate for yourself, especially with rare disease and especially with invisible illness and dynamic disability.
And I finishing my thought, we'll take it back to the how both parents could have a seemingly rare disorder. The neurodivergence piece often causes people with EDS to, like, when they find each other, really click. And it's so, like, laughable when I go to, like, conventions or meetups, like online meetups for, like, people with EDS. We always get along, and it's just because of the neurodivergence and like because of connective tissue, like, being like causing neurodevelopmental disorders, and so we all think along the same lines.
And one testament to that, I would say, is with me and Heidi, I knew I had EDS before she found out about hers, and then we were friends even before either of us really knew that we had EDS.
Yeah.
So it was funny that, it
just happened to be that way that we both later got diagnosed.
And then there's some of my friends that are, coming and talking to me like, I think I might have EDS, and like all the things are kind of aligning, where it's really interesting, the overlaps between everything, especially with neurodivergence.
Now you're as like you said, an invisible disability where I can't see it like me. How is your daily life or anything that's changed? 1 minute you get up in the morning, what triggers?
I'd say I have like 4 usable hours per day, like, and that's being so generous. Like, I mean, it's honestly impossible to quantify, my energy, but I would say that the fatigue is an insane component and is one of my most debilitating symptoms.
Absolutely.
And like, everything in your body is constantly working so hard to compensate for the malformed pieces. And like, there's so many theories about why people with EDS are so tired, but at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. But the chronic fatigue, it feels like I'm sleeping my life away, but I can't. I can't do anything about that, And so I do PT, I do exercising to try to slowly build up my stamina. But at the end of the day, it is a reality for me that I have very, very limited usable hours, and I have limited energy. And if I try to push past that, then I'll pay by not having any usable energy for the next foreseeable future. And I put myself into the hospital that way, because we really do have this culture around productivity, and there is no room to be disabled. There's no room. Fully abled people struggle in our culture. And so there's no room to be disabled. And so the level at which we've had to push ourselves, and the unlearning of that, the learning to care for our body and give it what it needs, even though it feels like betraying the culture we were raised in, and being lazy, and I would much rather be able to work and do a fool's life's worth of things than be sleeping on the couch all day. But I'd say so the fatigue is my most debilitating symptom. After that, TMI bathroom time is a nightmare for me. And then you know, like I mentioned, I dislocated my shoulder. So even like playing fetch with the dogs is really like my PT recommended that I buy one of the automatic, like
you can switch.
yeah, the good
Yeah.
like gun things. Oh, the dogs are hitting my camera right now. But they're like, oh, you're talking about me. But yeah, so even like playing fetch with the dogs because of that repetitive motion.
Right.
And let's see. Then I think like the neurodivergence, like, so I have ADHD diagnosed, and suspect, you know, that there's other forms of neurodivergence too. But I'd say like that has such a huge impact on my ability to, I mean, obviously concentrate, but my ability to complete tasks and like prioritize tasks and like, you know, see them to be done. And so like it's such a battle to fight, like to exist in a world that is not made for me.
Right. That's yeah. Emotionally, I'm sure that can take a toll on you.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And me and Logan have said before, Logan and I have said before, that, you know, if we didn't live in the society that we did, our lives, our quality of life could be so much better. Having the same symptoms, our quality of life could be so much better. It is largely a fact of a lack of accommodations, a lack of awareness.
I agree.
Like,
yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I, similar to Heidi, I have physical therapy multiple days a week. I have aquatic therapy.
Oh, the doctor's appointments. Right.
The doctor's appointments, lab work, imaging. I have to go to infusions 2 to 3 times a week.
Where she sits for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
Fluid put into her body.
That's for my POTS. Yeah, because one of the most frustrating things about EDS and all the comorbidities and everything, you're left with almost nothing for treatment options. Where a medication contradicts with either another medication or another condition, to where you're really left with little to nothing. So it's so hard to try to find the balance between everything with all the different conditions, medicines, and how everything interacts. It's really exhausting. Like, that's one of the worst parts about it, is just how much maintenance and work it requires to deal with every day.
When you're already coming from having
when you're already exhausted. And then, not to mention, having to deal with the medical system in general, having to fight insurance constantly for everything, having to be on the phone all the time.
And the psychological component, to having to defend your right to exist, your right to healthcare.
Exactly.
Like, having people tell you that you're not worth having your medicine covered. Like, you don't need this, that, you know, like, it really is such an emotional drain. And again, this is why like it's so much the society that we live in, and like, and then not as much the disorder that I want to you know, but I just really, I'm like, it blows my mind. I think it's really a product of the society that we live in, and not as much like the disorder is terrible, and
it's just everything else added. And I think I think everything that you guys have said describes just about everything that is quote unquote not considered as normal. You know, anything that's not normal, it's a fight. And most people will tell me it's a great thing your daughter wears her disability, because she wears it in her look, you know, and then she's nonverbal and everything. So some people say, okay, she doesn't have it as bad as I do because I don't wear my disability. But I think the accommodations that comes along with it, it still doesn't change. Like, even though my daughter wears her disability, even though she has cerebral palsy and she walks a certain way, it's still and I think nobody wants to be pitied. You know, nobody wants to be pitied, but we want to be given a fair chance. you
Like,
know,
if
at
you are-
Yeah,
existence.
we want to be empowered. We want to be
Yeah,
given the
exactly.
tools to be able to succeed, even
yeah,
Right.
given the limitations we have.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's
So
like,
let me ask
especially
you.
within the healthcare field and everything, it's just so backwards, and
Yeah.
so much of it is designed and set up to be so difficult that you give up on it, and it's so frustrating to have to fight constantly with these things, like
You guys
especially
are
Be
gonna say,
overwhelming.
trying to get on disability. That's been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
well, what
Uh,
doctors are following you guys? Do you have, like, my daughter has genetics following her in neurology. What is your primary doctor that follows you, that kind of is, because that doctor kind of sets the tone and, you know, works with
Yeah.
the other doctors.
I'd like to take that one if
Oh
I
yeah, go
could.
for it.
Because that's one of the most frustrating parts, is there really isn't one doctor, one specialty that deals with EDS. We're told rheumatology, but a lot of the times you go to rheumatology and they're like, no, this isn't really my
Oh, Lord.
wheelhouse. You should go to cardiology. And then they're like, actually, no, this isn't really our our job either. Go to neurology. And you just get
so it's
kind of
like a
tossed
ping pong.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get tossed around like a hot potato to
Mhm.
all the different specialties. But we have to see so many different specialties for all of the different systematic symptoms to try to address everything all
Right.
together.
It really is a symptom-based treatment, and since it's in every
Yeah.
organ,
They
Yeah,
have to
so
kind
like
of work together, right?
geneticists.
The doctors have to
Hmm?
kind of work together too.
that is the
You
dream.
you would hope.
That's the
You would
dream.
hope.
Yeah, that's true.
You would
Would.
My
think.
dream is to have a panel of one of each specialist,
Right.
and they all talk to each other, and they all
So a lot of times they don't want to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want to do any kind of extra legwork. And then on one hand, I can't really blame them because I know how overworked and everything they are. But
Right.
oh, like
The
the
Well,
the
my,
system is
wait
not good for
lists,
providers
the
either.
wait lists that EDS
So
patients have to get to even maybe get diagnosis is absolutely astronomical. It's years on years.
wow.
And then there's only a few,
wow.
doctors that are even willing to diagnose it. And then we have to travel all across the country. Really, I've had to go to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, Johns
Really.
Hopkins, all different kinds of travel, and then it's so hard to find specialists that are taking new patients at all, because the amount of people that have EDS is actually so great. There aren't enough EDS knowledgeable providers to actually be able to see
Right.
everyone, and it's
Right.
so sad. And then so many people in the meantime are just suffering even more so because
Mhm.
there aren't enough specialists to deal with the amount of patients that there are. And
The
Do
doctor
you
it's
who
just
find it in
really
the older
frustrating.
people? Do you find this disorder in younger people, older people? How does that look?
I think it's well across the board. In support groups, I see people of all ages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are definitely a lot of people that get diagnosed later in age, for
Yes,
sure.
because again, they're
Um,
normal. They're
yeah,
and you look normal. Like
yeah. So,
normal, quote unquote.
the amount of
This is my
times I
able.
was told,
Oh,
oh, you'll grow out of it, or,
Hmm.
it'll go away, it'll get better. Just the amount of dismissal and invalidation and everything related to it.
Yeah, that's what I was reading, that they consider that like just a myth or
Yeah.
a
And then
scam.
there's so many doctors where
Mhm.
they think it's not even worth diagnosing since
Mhm.
there aren't really many methods of treatment, but that's just not true. It's so
Right.
important to get diagnosed, for accommodations, for complications to look out for.
yeah, the
But then it's so
anesthesia
hard
during
to get
surgery.
diagnosed. Yeah.
Anesthesia during surgery, like there's tons of like treatments and like even down to the stitches that you use because our wounds don't heal
All
the
that.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So
like,
there's so many things like that where a diagnosis is so helpful because there is there is some hope of treatment, if not
Mhm.
to resolve an issue than just to like make it less painful and improve quality of life.
Yes,
Well,
because
let's
So
go
it's
back to the stitches,
Yeah.
guys, because I think for those that don't know, when I read up on it, I thought that was strange. Like if you get stitches, because the connective tissue, and again, connective tissue is our skin.
Mhm.
Because the
Yep.
connective tissue, this is a connective tissue disorder. If you try to get stitches, the stitches won't hold.
yes.
So it
Yep.
It's for, yeah.
So I got
So
stitches
yeah.
twice. I got stitches twice before I knew I had Ehlers-Danlos, and both of those I've left in a big scar. Like and I mean I say big, but I just mean for the size of the wound. Like one of them's like this, yeah. But stitches are supposed to hold the skin together, but my skin is so lax it still opened up even with the stitches in it. And so then it healed, opened up, and I scarred atrophically.
Right.
Like, yeah. And so that, like, now we know, like, there's, like, an extra special stitch that you need to do inside first in order, even on, like, shallow wounds, in order to make sure that it really holds together.
And then with, like, the anesthesia and everything that you were talking about, EDS patients are really anesthesia resistant for local anesthesia, anything dental.
It's
It's so important to know that before getting anything done dentally. It hurts so bad, and then they don't really believe you that you can still feel it.
And that is one of the workaround. What's the workaround?
So there's different kinds. So, well, that general anesthesia, I guess, is an option, but there's
also,
different
I just need more
pain
time.
meds that work better.
Yeah. For me, like
I need, numb.
Yeah. Like I need more solution, and then I need more time. So she injects, like, instead of like one syringe, she does 3 little syringes. I mean, my dentist, who I found that is EDS aware, so she does 3 syringes, and then she waits and like just does, I mean, like office work or something. I don't know what she does, but she waits like 15 minutes for me instead of the usual like 2 minutes, and then it's starting to like kick in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
and
that's, I mean, that's an example of why the diagnosis is so important. Like, that's such a simple thing. She gives me 3 times the anesthesia and waits a little longer, and then I'm good to go. And that saves you from so much medical trauma of that. Like,
it's so unnecessary. Yeah, like, because I had 1 wisdom tooth removed, and it was horrendous. And then it got to the point where, like, even asking for more pain meds wasn't even worth it. So I just had to sit through it until it was over.
Oh my goodness!
Because
and then with
feel
like
kind of bad for asking for.
Yeah, everything is made to be your fault, no matter what, and it's
like,
it's your mind telling you. It's just
Right,
and,
right. And
with another medication thing, with steroids, especially steroid injections, with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, it can degrade the connective tissue more so. So it's something else to look out for EDS patients, especially for trigger point injections, because that's one of the only forms of pain management we're really offered. But that can make things worse, especially long term.
So how do you guys tolerate pain? I'm assuming that the way it looks is that you kind of endure pain. Is that on a daily basis? I know you spoke about, being extremely tired. How do you deal with your pain if it's on a daily basis? Are you prescribed something? Are EDS patients prescribed something that could potentially help with the pain?
So there are a lot of options. Whether they help or not is another story. But there are options, like low dose naltrexone is one that I can think of. Naltrexone is used for addiction, but in very low dosages, it can also be used for pain relief. And then like stronger NSAIDs like ibuprofen, that same drug class, are like sometimes helpful, sometimes not. But that is more of like the daily, like, low it's not like a narcotic or something where you're going to be like constipated and feel bad afterwards. But as far as like pain management, I'd say like there's, there is a very real level of like pain that just won't go away. And I think that's also when we talk about the effect that EDS has on your body, also like the chronic stress, like nobody is meant to have chronic pain. Pain is an acute warning signal. Chronic pain is not natural, and it doesn't do anything beneficial for our body. So all the like cortisol and adrenaline that's like pumping through us because of this chronic pain is also like, it's so hard to regulate ourselves and get our bodies out of like fight or flight sometimes because of like the constant daily pain.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like there aren't a whole lot of long-term effective treatments for chronic pain. It's really hard to find things or find doctors that are even willing to try different things for your pain, because most of the time they just refer you to physical therapy, and that's sort of a supplemental thing.
And helpful.
Yeah, it does help, but it's not a cure-all.
Right.
It's not.
And it overworks you. Physical therapy is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's very
like
hard, painful,
gym.
difficult. It's not fun.
And like that's even more of my energy going towards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what about as far as again, just learning your eating habits? Is there certain things you can't eat or shouldn't eat?
Logan has a lot of awesome additives for this. She has all the hacks. Like
sometimes.
Well, with us. So she has like these pH neutralizers like that she puts in. Like if we're gonna have chili, Logan's got the just like I mean, so there is like that. But I think like gastroparesis is a big thing. So I can take one bite and be super full. I can have trouble swallowing. I can have eaten something just fine the day before, and then now I'm gagging and I just can't swallow. So difficulty with your like esophagus is a huge one. I'd had a tube shoved with a little pressure sensor on the end of it shoved up my nose and down my throat, and I was made to swallow with that in. So that was a great feeling. I never want to feel the connection between the back of my nose and my throat ever again.
That is one thing with EDS. The insane tests that we've had to do.
Logan has a picture of like these 2 pieces of paper.
Yeah, the latest test that I had to do, I had to have pieces of paper in my eyeballs for 5 minutes to measure the tear production.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like
her eyes were malfunctioning, or if it was her nerves not sending the right
if it's the actual eye issue, or if it's another nervous system issue, and usually it is the nervous system because of all of the nervous system involvement, and then it's just frustrating.
Where does this name come from?
So I don't, because this I really don't love when conditions are named after the doctors that found it.
Yeah,
it's
like
kind of weird.
Like,
it's just weird to slap your name on it as like dibs. It's like you're calling dibs on an illness.
They never experienced it.
Weird.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's 2 guys. They couldn't even had to hyphenate get dual credit. Like
is that one of the
2 guys that found it?
Is that something that, and I guess like Madeline said, that's so hard to diagnose, because if you go I guess my question is, at what point do they say, okay, let's do a genetic testing for that? Because, and I'm gonna be for real, there are thousands of genetic conditions. So do they take your blood and run it through all of these various tests to see what could be done? Because as we know, I mean, that's like a needle in a haystack. Some people, it's not like something that's easily discovered. Like I think some people that have Crohn's and lupus and different things,
Mm-hmm.
they misdiagnose them a lot before
Yep,
they finally get to
Right.
diagnose them with that.
Yes.
Right.
There's definitely a
Right.
lot of
EDS are diagnosed.
misdiagnoses with
Yeah.
EDS as well.
You
Yeah.
gotta keep pushing them. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is patient led. Like, you know, you somehow find out about EDS through something or other. And you talk to your doctor about it and hope that they have heard of it or that they're willing to listen.
Yeah.
And my PCP was willing to listen, and she sent a referral to a
Good.
geneticist that I had
Okay.
found. And then the geneticist diagnosed me. So
Yeah, so sorry. The I saw a geneticist this year. So for seeing the geneticist, it's usually to rule out some of the more dangerous types of EDS, like vascular EDS, because that can have a lot more serious complications and in some rare cases can be fatal. So it's something really important to rule out. And since there is genetic tests for those kinds, the geneticist does a connective tissue panel. You can either get like the EDS panel or the connective tissue panel, but the connective tissue panel is more all-encompassing to rule out other kinds of connective tissue disorders besides EDS. And that's what I had. And then since everything on that was negative, that confirmed the hypermobile EDS diagnosis. So they ruled the other types out. And that's how they're supposed to diagnose hypermobile EDS, really, is by ruling any other cause, including the other types, out. But a lot of doctors don't do that, and they just diagnose it clinically. And then later on, the patient ends up having some more serious complications. And then they have the genetic testing. And then lo and behold, they've had one of the more dangerous types the whole time.
right.
I feel like that's an issue I've noticed in some
Right. I still haven't been checked like with a full connective tissue disorder panel, like to make sure that I like am ruled out from any of the other types of EDS. And so like that is like something where I would have to pay out of pocket if I went to do that.
Yeah, it's so expensive, and then my insurance like retroactively denied it. I just got a letter the other day saying like, actually, we're not covering that.
That's crazy.
I don't understand why, if you're already diagnosed with it, they should pay for it so you can see what.
Right. You would think, yeah. And part of the diagnostic criteria is that you are not, it's like a rule out disorder. Part of the diagnostic criteria is you don't have any of the others. So you would think that it's medically necessary, and it really should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't pay it on the
that makes
front,
too much
you gotta
sense.
pay it
That
on
makes
the
too
back
much
end.
sense.
Yeah, because if you don't pay it up front, eventually, if they don't get properly diagnosed, they're going to keep going to the hospital, and you're going to pay it in claims. And you know what gets me about things, and I say this all the time, is when people deny certain things, it's almost as if you're penalizing me for being sick.
Yes,
I don't think
100%.
any of us can inject these types of things in our body. So in essence, you're kind of penalizing me and saying, well, we'll cover you if you're perfectly healthy. We'll cover you if you got to get stitches, you know, typical thing, break your arm, we'll cover you for that. But if it's something more aggressive, or if it's something more, you know, rare,
chronic,
we're not going to do that. You know, so what's the point of having insurance?
It's so frustrating, and insurance should not have the final say over your doctor that knows you. If your doctor prescribes it for you, they deem it medically necessary, and they know best. The insurance, having some random doctor of some random specialty that's never met me a day in their life, does not know better, and it's so frustrating. Like, insurance is one of the biggest issues I encounter. It's so frustrating.
About a lady from California who had gotten attacked by a bear, and when asked what the most difficult part of the process was, she said care first. And just like, I forget where I heard that. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt. But I remember reading about that, and I'm like, absolutely. It's a nightmare
Logan,
out
can
here.
you tell us about the link that I'm running across
Mhm.
the base of the screen?
Yes. So it's my website that I put together with all different links to studies. Let me just read the thing.
And
Link
that
collection
is
of studies and information from hospitals about EDS and its comorbidities like POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, which is MCAS, neurodivergence, chronic pain, GI issues, autoimmune issues, and more. If anyone would be interested, it's the link
That's good.
at the
Thank you.
bottom. Yeah, and then the second page is all images and informative pictures and things if you don't want to read through
Right.
all the different links. But
Yeah.
I add to it all the time. One of the latest ones I just added was that they found one of the genes that might have a part to play in hypermobile EDS. So that's cool.
Oh.
and then I want to say, so it's /opal, that's 0P4L. It's not an O,
Yes.
it's a 0. Yeah.
Yeah, because like with
ask,
the link.bio, it's like through an Instagram account where it lets you have that website. So I did it through that. But yeah,
and I know you ladies are so young.
yeah.
Tell us, how do you, from a mental standpoint, how do you deal with it?
Oh my
How do
God.
you deal with it? Because as we know, it's not just dealing with the illness, it's also dealing with the insurance, it's dealing with the
Mm-hmm.
that when you're waking up each day, you don't know what's going on. And when this is linked to that and that is linked to that. Tell us,
Right.
how do you endure this mental thing? Because some people, I mean, as we know, no one wants to be sick, but
Yeah.
when you're sick, it just takes its toll on you mentally. Give us a
Yeah.
snapshot of how you guys deal with it.
You
I
know,
would definitely say, for one thing, I mean, therapy, of course.
Okay.
Therapy, psychiatry, definitely trying to find community of other people, other chronically ill or disabled people that can understand
yeah.
and that we can talk to and, you know,
I
support each other.
I firmly believe that hope is a discipline. You know, it's something that takes practice. And I think that that's, you know, my practice every day is living slowly, trying to cultivate hope. And so that looks like neutral body affirmations, like this is my body, this is where I live. You know, my body is worthy. My body has never done anything wrong. You know, my body does not deserve disrespect. My body deserves respect. And so I think like keeping things like neutral, not assigning a moral value to stuff, like not assigning a moral value to dishes being done. I'm not a bad person because I have dirty dishes. I'm not a bad person because I couldn't shower today or yesterday or the day before that. I'm not a bad person because I don't have the energy to go hang out with my friends for the second time in a row. And so I think like that sort of neutrality and that sort of like disconnecting my worth from what I produce is so important. And then I like what Logan said about community. You know, the people that you're around like make such a difference to your like lived experience. And finding other like-minded people, finding other people who are suffering just as much and yet still are so like bright and shining. Like, you know, I see the like passion and the light in my friends, and like even though they've been through so much, like where, you know, we all, no one would blame them for, you know, not having that light anymore. I think I it's just so motivating, and it's so, it brings so much hope. And I think that like it all comes back to that, like as long as I have hope, I can get through anything.
Yeah, I love that. And then I definitely feel one of the most difficult parts of EDS is the isolation that it brings, because it's so it's so different. And then like, you know, the friends that I had at that point when I was when it was really setting in and I was getting diagnosed and everything, like people distanced themselves from me. A lot of the time people don't really know how to relate with someone that's chronically ill if they don't experience it themselves as well. So finding that community, even more so, especially with other people that are chronically ill, is so helpful. And it's so
That's good.
helpful to like keep you motivated and
Encouraged.
I don't know. Yeah, encouraged and just upbeat, because it's so hard to try to stay neutral or positive
Right.
when there's so much negativity that you don't really have much control over. So it is like it is empowering and helpful when we can make our own community and help each other.
Yes, that is good because, like I said, you know, you can have someone that they're family and friends, but if they don't know exactly what you're going through,
Right.
they can't understand. You know, they may see it,
Mhm.
oh, you know, but you see it as something totally different.
And that's so hard. Like,
Yeah.
you know, having that distance created between your family and friends, you know, it's one of the hardest parts about all of this. Yeah.
And then I
Yeah,
feel
how
like
did
that
you
definitely ties into the invisible
Yeah.
illness and dynamic disability piece, because even though don't judge a book by its cover is a
Right.
very basic thing, many people do, and it's hard when so many people have assumptions already made, and then we have to fight against those and explain like, no, I'm not healthy, I'm not I'm
Exactly.
disabled, you know. And then some days I can do, you know, a decent amount of things, and some days I can't leave the house, some days I can barely get out
Right.
of bed, but
Right.
people judge you based off of when they can see you. So,
And they can only
you
see
know,
me when I'm out, you know.
yeah, they can only see you at your best, and then they judge
Mm-hmm.
you based
Uh-huh.
off your best. So
Uh-huh.
it can, that can be frustrating as well.
Do you both drive or?
Yeah, to an extent.
It's
That's
limited.
definitely gotten
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm diagnosed with narcolepsy. But with
Okay.
medications, I haven't had like I haven't fallen asleep in years. So I'm able to drive now. But if that were to need to be managed more in the future, then I would not have my license for 6 months
Right.
after falling asleep. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a
And
terrifying. Yeah.
transportation is so
Yuck.
difficult to find when
Yeah,
you're disabled. It is
I agree.
maddening. It's so frustrating. Yes, not all disabilities can be seen, and you can't assume someone's healthy just by looking at them. Like
Right.
I have on the inside, I'm essentially elderly. Like I have osteopenia, all my joints are messed up. Like
Oh, wow.
I have to operate as an elderly person essentially, and like
Right.
I have similar limitations and everything, but then obviously I don't look that way on the outside. And it's ironic, one of the things one of the only benefits you could say of with EDS is that your skin stays young looking for longer,
Really?
which
It's
Oh,
that's nice,
because they're like, oh, that
but
makes
but
sense.
then that
because
makes it
yeah.
harder and harder for people to believe that I really feel
Right.
horrendous inside.
For those
But
that know, I mean, I look at it like this: those that know you, I think we go through life, and as you get older, you realize that the people that know and love you is who matter. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because
Right.
there's no way for you to go and justify your illness with everybody. Now, education is a great thing, but trying to get people to understand,
Mhm.
your illness,
Yes.
unless they're
Like
walking
I
in your
am not
shoes,
gonna
they will never
beg to be
understand.
believed.
yeah.
Like
They
And
will
there's a
never
lot of
understand.
people that honestly are in denial about just how close they really are to also becoming disabled. Like it's
All it
really
takes is one day for
yeah,
something to
is
happen.
so
Yes, it can happen. Yeah.
like your health is really so fragile, and people don't really like to be reminded of that fact.
I think
And if
people
you
cling. Go ahead.
yeah, if you are sick and you're younger, especially, people think it's because you're not doing enough or not doing something right, or just something that it's your fault, basically, because they can't accept that could possibly happen to them as well. And
Right.
then it just
if it's
hurts
out of
us
my
more.
control, then it could be out of their control. And
Yeah.
that's so scary. Like, if people accept that, if they accept that it's truly out of my control, they have to accept that it's out of their control, whether they're able-bodied. And it's too scary for them. And then that in turn, because they can't face that fear, they deny my reality.
Yes, yes.
Like,
But the
Imagine
one thing with all that you guys have to deal with, I'm not even gonna lie, that would be the least of my worries. And I say that to say again, the older you get, the smaller your circle gets. And I'm gonna say that. So it becomes to a place that I'm gonna put my energies where they're well used. And like you all say, you're extremely tired. And I know how I am. My daughter tires me out, me and my husband. So when it comes to talking on the phone, when it comes to visiting people, when it comes to doing, and these are my closing remarks, lady, but when it comes to exerting my energy, I choose those places. I choose those people because really I have to, I have to preserve that energy, I have to preserve those the time. And I'm gonna be honest, I just don't give it away to everybody. If it's a way I can educate somebody, I will. But to try to prove something to somebody is just not even gonna be worth my time. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm not. And I just say to you ladies, I mean, it seems like you guys, we haven't talked about your families, but I feel that you have very supportive families. Um, and your friendships and your support group. So I would honestly, just encourage you all to put that energy where it belongs and not with people that don't fully understand or people that don't support you guys, because it's just not worth it. It's just not. Yeah.
right.
So I'm gonna give
Definitely.
Madeline a chance to give her closing remarks, and then I'll give each of you all. But it was a pleasure having you all on here. I'm eager to go to the website and just to learn more, because, as we know, in this day and time, there diseases and disorders and disabilities coming up left and right. And just because we haven't heard of them, it does not mean that it does not exist.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
And as Paula was saying, piggybacking as far as your community and your circle is very important. And from talking with you ladies, you guys are just so bubbly and happy because you have each other. And like I said, you're doing a lot for other people too.
Yeah, that's really rewarding.
Yes, and that helps, to educate them and like I said, your community as far as people to understand that's going through the same thing. And I really respect that. And I'm over here like just nervous inside, but you're doing it. It's great. It's really great.
That's
You guys are young. You're still young, But and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And we'll try to keep in contact. We'll definitely.
Cool. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share.
So Logan, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give us some closing remarks, and Heidi, you can close us out.
All right.
Okay. I think EDS is gonna be a much more prevalent illness, and I hope this can help spread awareness. Please check out my website if you'd be interested. There's all kinds of information on there. yeah, I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to come on here and talk about it. Thank you guys so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really want to hammer home the point of invisible disability, and just that you never know. And when you're seeing people, that's when they're well enough to be seen. And then if you can't connect the issues, think connective tissues. If you've got a bunch of random
Yeah.
stuff happening,
Not
think
that, yeah.
connective tissues. Yeah.
Yes.
And then really just, that hope is a practice, and, it's possible to build it. It's possible to keep your light in the face of so much hardship. And I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. Again,
All right.
thank you
Awesome.
guys so much for joining us. And this was a great podcast because, again, the whole purpose of AdvocaSAY is to bring awareness to the various disabilities and for society to learn, because I think learning is so important, because we teach people when they're young, they don't grow up ignorant. And even with all of us, I'm 55 and I'm still learning and I'm still eager to learn. So I thank you ladies for being on here, and I have to announce we are going to have us a bun cake fundraiser in September, so flyers to come. Also in November, our first annual walk for AdvocaSAY is November the 8th at Henson Creek in Oxon Hill. Again, flyers to come. So we ask that everyone come out and support us. You'll see flyers coming out. We're going to flood Facebook, your social media pages, to let you know how you can participate and how you can come out and support us and share in our vision of educating society about the various disabilities. So, okay.
Love that. Cool.
Everyone, we thank you for joining us. Again, we thank Heidi, we thank Logan, and thank you, Madeline, for joining us. We'll have another episode of AdvocaSAY on next week, and we look forward to everyone joining us. Okay, ladies, have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.